Hey everybody, it's Lynn from A Bit of Birdsong, and you can see these little beads rolling around. I have a journal that is getting ready to go into the shop, and I wanted to quickly share it. It's Saturday, I'm in the garden right now, and I've had a really good day today. I got out and got a few things done that I needed to get done, and this afternoon I finished up a journal. Again, you can see a couple of beads here. These are really pretty, and I believe these came from Ava. So thank you again for the wonderful happy mail and everyone who has sent me things. I appreciate it so much. Tie that again. Okay, I'm being kind of obsessive here. So you can see there is a little metal plate on the front that says "Enjoy the Journey." We've got several layers of fabric. We have this first bottom layer, and I purchased quite a bit of this fabric. It was already stitched like this, and I guess it was from a large piece of upholstery fabric or a spread or a chair covering. I have no idea. I just thought it was really pretty, and I was lucky enough to get some large pieces of this. And then we have a piece of fabric that's got some angels or cherubs, and this really pretty ribbon that goes all the way around the journal. So this is a really pretty charm right here, and I made a few of these. It has a glass bead on the top and the bottom, and then in the center, that bead is from a vintage necklace. I'm not sure when, maybe from the 60s. I'm really not sure. It could be a little bit older or maybe a little newer, but it has these little plastic or some type of resin little roses, and they're really, really pretty. But I just decided to put that on the front page, and there's a satin pocket with some lace from the bridal veil that I had some pieces from. This journal has quite a few postcards in it. It's got I think it's got 14 postcards, so that you can write on them and take notes. And then there's just a pretty piece of paper that's tea stained. I love this image. I love to use that in journals. She's just so beautiful. And this journal has space to write. That's a pretty image that you'll see the other part of it, that you can see the hand and the bow. It's a lady playing a stringed instrument. And there's a pretty pocket from some fabric that has the embroidered flower. And Alejandrina sent me these cards, which I absolutely love. They are Tim Holtz, I believe, and she sent me a box that had a lot of those in it, and I really appreciate that so much. So there is another page where there is some playing going on. You can see the instrument, the beautiful dress, the ribbon trim, and there's some more ribbon trim on this page. I love the colors in that scrapbook paper. This journal to me feels more like fall. We're kind of getting away from, we're definitely away from spring, and we're getting away from summer. This page, that is just decoupaged. I don't really put a layer on the outside of the napkin because I don't like for it to be sticky, but it is attached with Mod Podge. And anyway, if part of it pulls away, which can happen over time, to me it just makes it prettier. It looks like a natural wear of something vintage. And this is just from a book that had a lot of images of beautiful women throughout American history. I love these beads. And that page is stamped with one of my favorite stamps. Ooh, Edgar Allan Poe. This book, this journal has a lot of vintage paper in it. A lot of vintage book pages. This is a tea-stained page from the coloring book that had the wildflowers in it, or garden flowers. And there's a piece of my hand-dyed paper. That is a page from that, The Transitive Vampire, the grammar book that had a lot of images of vampires, kind of some spooky things. It's really a neat book. And then more images from the book that had a lot of American history of American women. And that's some of my hand-dyed paper. And then there's a pocket here with a couple more postcards. Of course, we have Audrey Hepburn. And then I thought this was pretty with the pink flowers to go on that page. That is Savannah, and that had a piece of tape on it. I normally don't include things like that, but this image is so pretty. You could actually put something over that if you wanted to, or take it out. And that is another tea-stained page from the coloring book with the flowers in it. There's a vintage page from a book about birds. This came from a vintage Mother Goose book. This is a page where I had done some art journaling. That's the original page, and that was cut from a vintage book. I just sewed this page to the back. That's from a book about playing cards and the history of playing cards. It's a really neat book. And then, of course, there's a piece of vintage music, more vintage book pages. This page is pretty neat. That's from a book about leather craft and leather work. So I just thought that was a really neat page to make a pocket. And then there is a postcard, Josephine Baker. The picture was from around 1930. And then here is another postcard that is in Sweden. It's called The Dancing Girls. And that's really old. This is a print, and I actually had to reinforce it with washi tape so that it would not tear. And then here is a little, that's just a little pocket from a paper doll book, and it's got a tag in it that Alejandrina sent me, and thank you again so much. I have enjoyed everything you sent. I just feel really, really lucky to have met so many wonderful people because of this this journal journey. So this also was a print, and I found a stack of these not long ago. They were still in plastic, and of course they're just black and white. There were several different kinds of prints or posters, and this is what came with it. That was in the package. And there's a pretty piece of fabric. That is from one of my original paintings. Kind of looks like a circus in the background. You can see the balloon and the buildings, and then she's kind of like a circus performer, and she's got her little bird that she's talking to. And then that's from a calendar that had really pretty roosters on it. And the artist, it's something Wingett. Is it Susan Wingett? I'll have to put a reference to her in the description. I love her work. And there's a postcard with some deer, and this is pretty neat. The axis deer are native to India. Think about the deer in my yard. There's another page from the book with playing cards in it, and this is one of my favorite pages. We have the grapes here, and I thought, what would that be without some grape-colored pom-pom trim? And there's an old page from the Sears and Roebuck reproduction. And then in the center, we have this beautiful image. You can see a little mark where I scanned it. I found a gorgeous, gorgeous old print that's about, I guess it's about 16 by 20 inches. And it's got a little bit of fraying, but the quality of it is just magnificent, and it could still actually be framed. So I may frame it and put it in my workshop. I'm just not sure yet. But anyway, I did scan that, and I think it's just beautiful in here. I love the lavender and the purple against that, with the clover here and the little bunny. And then here's one of the gold paper clips with a charm that says trust. And I take it that that is in another language. I wonder if that's Japanese. but you can see this little tag, and put another tag on top of it. And there's some pretty trim. I know Ava sent me some trim it is either this trim or it's something very similar. There are a couple more postcards. San Francisco, the Exploratorium. It was designed to echo the grandeur of classical Roman architecture. So that's in San Francisco. And this is St. Albans Abbey. And then here's some upholstery trim on this page. And here's another little charm. I will have some of these in my shop. I made several of these today, and it's got the little elephant with the two glass beads, one on top and bottom. And then that's another copy of some original artwork. It says "Trust Yourself," and I can't help it. I just have always had birds showing up in my artwork. And this is Big Ben and Parliament Square in London. And this is neat. This came from an old book about Australian locker hooking, and it had a really big needle in the book, I guess, that you do the rug hooking with, but the needle was very, very rusty. In fact, it was rusted to what had attached it inside the book. So there's more vintage pages and dyed paper. And that again is one of the cards that Alejandrina sent to me on that very old paper. And I will say, in my opinion, when pages like this, if it tears, I would mend it with washi tape. I would just add to the book in that way. That's really a pretty page, and it's still fairly sturdy. This corner looks a little delicate, but it's hanging in there so far. And that, of course, is from a pattern. There's another vintage book page and some vintage music, and you can see it has some little tears around the edge. On this page, I put in one of the little ornaments I made the other day. It's in a little pocket there with some embroidery. And then there is another postcard. I'm not even sure where this is because it is in a foreign language. And then I like that postcard. And there's another one of the cards from Alejandrina. Did you hear that? A pine cone just fell from the tree. I bet there's a squirrel up there. More hand-dyed paper. And you can see there's room to write in this journal. A lot of room for you to glue things in or write or just stick things in and save them. Little pieces of ephemera, modern day ephemera. And that's pretty. And then this page, the pocket is made from a book that was, it was bridge scorekeeping cards. And there's a pretty postcard. That's really pretty. Printed in France. It's Brussels. And you can see there's the other part of that page. It has the napkin that was decoupaged. And there's the other half of that page with the beautiful lady playing the, looks like a cello maybe, or a, yeah, maybe a cello. And then there's my Birdsong stamp and a couple more postcards. And that is that journal. So that's going into the shop just a little bit. I love to hear the birds. I wonder if that's one of the blue jays. They don't come down very much. I wish they would. So let me show you what I bought today. I had to get a little mum while I was out today. Chrysanthemum. I just need to get it planted. Alright, so thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.